Why are so many people unable to see the truth about the Palestinian cause, about Hamas? So many people want to say, oh no, they're just resisting Israeli oppression, they just want a state of their own. If they had that, then they'd be fine. This is what leftists and progressives often tend to do. And of course, they're totally ignoring the reality that they are ideologically driven by a hatred of the Jewish people, of Judaism and Israel, and that's what this is really all about. This conflict is all about. It's not about nationalism and self-determination. Why can't people, typically on the left, see this truth? I want to show you a fascinating clip, which I think really hits the nail on the head, by a columnist and writer, Samuel J. Hyde. Have a watch.
The concept is that all people are driven by the same fundamental needs.
That we're all the same.
That we're all the same. And those needs are freedom, dignity, security, the right to acquire property. And that if those needs are all met, then ultimately people will be seekers of goodness, pursuers of peace.
And be a good person.
You know, good people, patrons of Starbucks. And the thing is that people are driven by far more than that. They're driven by meaning, transcendence, the desire to be a member of a collective, and they'll usually find that in religion or tradition, even the national myth, and that differs from place to place and from culture to culture, and even within those cultures, it differs from moderation to extremism. And when you ignore that latter part, then you can lead yourself to totally understandably thinking that the only reason that people commit this is not because they believe that if they blow themselves up that they're going to go to paradise, but because someone else must have just subjected them to the worst possible misery. And if you just hand them all the things that you say is the only thing that people desire in their lives, if you just give them a little bit more freedom, if you just give Hamas more freedom, if you just give the jihadists more dignity, if you just give them the right to acquire property, all these things, that will temper them down. That's a liberal delusion, because it has absolutely nothing to do with what drives their actions. The concept is...
It's absolutely hits the nail on the head. This is absolutely right. I mean, let's not forget, Osama bin Laden, one of the chief terrorists of the 21st century, was wealthy, comes from an established family. So the notion that he's poor and oppressed and resentful, no. What it seems people in the West are failing to understand, progressives are failing to understand, and actually what's driving people toward religious extremism is they're ignoring the fact that within the human psyche there is a deep need for a sense of belonging, for transcendence, for reaching beyond yourself. It's actually a compliment to the human being, the fact that we're not just interested in basic material needs, which is the fallacy that he says that exists in progressive circles. People need meaning, transcendence, a sense of belonging to a tribe, of serving a greater cause. And so it's rubbish to try and explain everything away as simply, oh, they just weren't treated well enough, they just weren't... No. There's deep ideological issues and battles that are going on here. And therefore, if that is the case, two important conclusions come from this. The first conclusion is that we have to stop indulging in the Palestinian narrative, that it's just about nationalism and self-determination. In some ways, this was concocted in order to try to win over the hearts and minds of people in the West and make them think that that's what it's all about, just about their basic material needs and nationalism needs wanting to be met. So we have to get rid of that delusion as the first step. But the second step is then to realise that we need to provide a meaningful, transcendent alternative. And this is, I think, where the Jewish people have to step up. That we have to provide that sense of deep spiritual meaning that people are seeking. So they don't go to the kind of religious extremism death cults that radical Islam and others have to offer. And instead, we show them the meaning and profound spiritual meaning, which we absolutely recognise as a genuine human need, in a much more healthy way and a much more truthful way. It's time for the Jewish people to express the true deeper spiritual significance of this world and of our lives that we were taught at Mount Sinai, and that the world has slowly started to catch on to through the monotheistic offshoots of Judaism, Christianity and Islam. But now we need to go further in teaching the world and letting them catch up on things that they weren't necessarily aware of before. One of the key things being that we're here not to try to get to heaven, to try to get that spiritual reward, and that there's nothing noble or worthy about seeking salvation or seeking your reward in heaven, and that actually God created us and put us here, Judaism teaches, to serve him, to make this world better, to bring him into our daily lives. And he teaches us how to do that explicitly through the teachings in the Torah. That is the message that we need to start getting across, because Samuel is absolutely right in this video when he notes that it is the desire for transcendence and meaning that is drawing people towards bad, but equally, if we find healthy, truthful pathways for that, can lead people to do immense good as well. And I do believe that ultimately, actually, the Middle East region will become a region of great positive, constructive life and produce, basically, because there is so much desire to do things that serve a transcendent higher purpose. So that can just be channeled in the right way, then so much good can come.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.